And what's up? I know I'm crazy, audience. This is your host, Naja Hall, with I Know I'm Crazy. This is Podcast Tuesday, and we have a guest here that I am so privileged and honored to be able to bring to you all. So I have Mr. Charles Robinson, attorney, mediator, Charles L. Robinson here. Now, he and I met online. I think it's been a couple years. And let me tell you how bold Mr. Robinson is. I think I had put my phone number maybe in the signature of my email or something somewhere. And he had reached out to me like, hey, Naja, I like what you're doing. And I responded, of course, because his credentials, wait till I tell you guys about them. I responded, of course. And Mr. Charles was like, you know what? I ain't waiting. I don't know how you millennials do it, but I ain't going to wait on this young lady to hit me back. So I'm walking down the street in Manhattan one day, and he's like, hey, Naja Hall, this is Charles Robinson. So, well, hello, Mr. Charles. So over the years, he and I have developed a bond over our shared love and fight for people in blended families, people dealing with conflict of all different sorts. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about him right after this dance break. So hang on. Let me pay some bills real quick, and I'll be right back to tell you all about Charles L. Robinson.
I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy.
Charles Robinson has extensive training and experience in labor employment law and mediation. A graduate of the University of Wisconsin Law School, he's a former administrative law judge and special master for the Milwaukee County Circuit Courts. He's managed disputes for universities, prisons, schools, governmental agencies, everybody. He also provides training, workshops, and seminars for schools, businesses, community groups also. His mediation practice has an emphasis in family court matters for more than 3 decades. Mr. Charles Robinson, I can say I'm looking at you right now. And for those of you guys that want the audio visual experience, you can come and you just look at the link below. You can come and see us. Mr. Charles Robinson don't look like he's been doing nothing for 30 years. Mr. Robinson, you look good. You look good. So over the course of his professional career, Charles has been an adjunct professor teaching part-time in the schools of human services and continuing professional services, while teaching with a commitment to transform socioeconomic conditions and violence in his community. He's been an active volunteer and community leader. His work includes creating book clubs, serving as district commissioner for the Boy Scouts of America, providing mediation training for the police department, facilitating peace circles for Block Cubes, facilitating listening circles for youth and police officers, and serving as a program leader with a Landmark Worldwide, a personal with professional training and development corporation. Mr. Charles. Now, what do I call you? Because, I feel like just, I'm a Southern girl, and out of respect, I should call you Mr. Charles. But what do I call you?
Don't call me Mr. Charles. I'm not that old. You can call me Charles.
You've been a judge. You've done so much in your life. I kind of feel like I should, it feels okay. I'm going to call you Charles just for the purposes of this podcast, but I'm going to tell you everything in my genetic makeup is not to call you by your first name. I'm going to just tell you that. So he's giving me permission to call him Charles. So thank you so much for being here today, Charles. Thank you. Finally.
Yes.
We get to sit down and talk.
Yeah, my friends call me Charlie Robbs. You can call me Charlie Robbs.
Charlie Robbs. Charlie Robbs. So the one thing I always like to do is when somebody comes on the podcast, obviously I've just told everybody all of your professional accolades, but tell us a little bit about your story. Why did you become a mediator? Why are you fighting for people to learn how to peacefully resolve conflict?
Well, my mediation practice started after law school, and I worked in several jobs and realized that I really didn't like making somebody right, making somebody wrong, the old arcane legal system that we inherited from Europe, of course, which means that A wins and B loses. And when I discovered mediation, actually through labor and employment law, I got access to alternative dispute resolution or mediation, arbitration. So there were some other things that I found that I could do within the legal system, rather, other than litigation, because I didn't like the idea of chasing ambulances.
Yeah.
But the reason I went to law school in the first place was because I was a school teacher in a classroom in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. I was the first teacher to graduate from this junior high school. They call it middle school now. But I was the first teacher to graduate from this school to go back and teach there.
Wow.
When I went back to teach there, I realized that there was so much systemic and structural racism that was, it wasn't apparent to me as a student. But we had 1,600 students in a building that had the capacity of 900.
So you were overcrowded and under-resourced, obviously.
So there were fights, there was not very much learning going on. I took advantage of my education well enough to, ultimately make it in law school. My high school was much different. But anyway, make a long story short, I got so frustrated after teaching for 2 years, I decided that I'm going to stop. I was working on a master's degree in school psychology, and I didn't complete. I said, I'm going to go to law school and come back and run for school board, right? Because
wait a minute.
Yeah.
Charlie Rob, you said, I'm in the classroom. I'm making a pretty okay salary right now. I'm also getting my master's, but I'm going to drop all this and I'm going to go to law school because I want to affect change in a different way.
Right, exactly. And I was actually playing professional basketball with the Central State Football League.
Wait a minute, you just done so much. Hold on now. That's not even in your bio. What?
The Green Bay Packers offered me a tryout, right? Because one of the scouts, Elijah Pitts, was at one of the games I played.
Yeah.
And I had a pretty good game. And so he gave me an offer to try out. But I went to law school instead.
Okay.
I was kind of upset too, because my dream was to graduate and go back and teach and coach at my alma mater, right? So, but I couldn't get transferred from this junior high school that hired me because of a union management situation where you have to teach for 3 years before you could actually transfer.
The powers that be, they got
and
you.
I had a coaching position at my alma mater. I would have been the assistant football coach and track coach, and I was just so upset. That was another reason why I quit teaching, and went back and went to law school. And then after I got in law school, I realized, hey, I don't want to practice law. I don't like this, because I'm someone who loves peace and harmony.
Yes. And law is anything but, though.
Yeah. And I found my niche as a mediator. After a couple of years, working as an administrative law judge, then I ended up working in a prison environment.
So you were also an administrative law judge. You were on the bench. You were presiding over cases in that case. That's what that means.
Yeah. But, it was quasi legal cases. It wasn't like I'm a judge, with a robe and all of that. Administrative law judges are a little different, kind of like court commissioners.
What's that? You don't have a gavel?
No, I didn't have a gavel or anything like that.
Oh, okay. We can skip past this part.
But administrative law judge in the Equal Rights Division. And so I would preside over cases and controversy involving discrimination cases.
Okay.
As it related to employment discrimination.
Gotcha. So then so at this point, I don't know, can you tell us the ages you were? Because I'm trying to put this in chronological order, because professional football player, master's degree dropout, then law school, then judge, and then mediator. So at this point, do you feel comfortable telling ages or numbers or years? Because I'm trying to understand my own chronology.
1971 is when I graduated from college, right? And then I taught for 2 years.
Born then, Charlie Ross.
So I taught for 2 years, and then after teaching for 2 years, I went back to school. I went to law school, and in 1976, before you were born, probably.
I wasn't here yet. I still wasn't here yet.
Wow. And I graduated from law school, and then
You were grown before I even was thought of. That's okay though. That's all right. We're here now. That's okay.
And so my first job right out of law school was I was an administrative law judge. The EEOC had a 4-year backlog of cases, and our state agency, had a contract with the EEOC.
Oh, that's perfect then. So that's a job for you because you got to clear up these cases.
Right. So I didn't run for school board. I ended up taking the job as an administrative law judge.
Yeah.
And I never actually, went to, I had a problem with public speaking. I didn't think I was good at public speaking, so I didn't run for school board. People
But you know what?
Yeah.
That's probably for, what I kind of see is the trajectory of our lives. Things kind of happen how they're supposed to.
Mhm.
That's one thing that I've learned. Because I have some things, I used to call them regrets. And now I'm just like, it just wasn't the direction I was
wasn't the
holding.
time.
Right. It wasn't the time. Or, like I always said, I was like, if God would have gave me a singing voice and made me a rock star, I would have been overdosed. Because that's my personality. I would have just been overdosed. I'd be dead. Oh my God. Naja would have been a memory. Oh my God. I said, but God don't give you everything because he knows exactly what you can and cannot handle.
But
so
I have to tell you this though.
Yes.
In 1969, before I graduated from college, we had a incident on campus, and I was like put into this incident where there was a fight on campus between a white fraternity and some black guys who were playing in an intramural basketball game.
Oh, my husband got in one of those fights between the Pikes and the Kappas.
Yeah,
damn. It's always the white frats and the black frats fighting.
And I was suspended from school, lost the whole academic year, my best year. Like I had like a 3.6 or 7 coming.
So you were fighting credits. Or you were like
I was sitting in a graduate level evening course. It was a class that met from 6:30 to 9 o'clock. While the incident was happening, I'm sitting in class, a class interview and counseling techniques, right? Mm-hmm. With it was a graduate level course. I had special permission because I was a psych major.
You were undergrad, but you were sitting in a grad level course.
Yeah, I had special permission. Right,
I was barely making it then. You just have always been stellar.
but so the next day after the incident, and there was a retaliation incident at this white fraternity's frat house, and when I heard about what was about to happen, I ran down to the scene. I was too late. They'd already invaded this house and everything. Mm-hmm. And a police officer saw me, and they said, "Stand over here." That you were part of. Right, mm-hmm. Right. Well, I was the only black guy on the football team for 3 years, right? And we were nationally ranked, right, among the top 2. We had the bowl bid to go to Florida for the National Bowl. And then we lost the last game of the year, so we couldn't go. But so I was the only black guy on the team for 3 years. So everybody knew me, right?
Professor had to have known, like, no, this is the good black kid. This isn't a troublemaker. Well, but then, you see black skin and you think, we know the inherent bias.
Well, the cop was looking out for me. The police officers said, stand over here with me, because Perk wouldn't, the head football coach name was Perkins. He said, Perk wouldn't want you to be involved in that. So So the next day, I was surprised. My name was among the list of 16 people who were just summarily suspended from school, and
no trial, no
due process. No, just suspended from school. And then we were
now I'm gonna say this.
2 felonies and a misdemeanor I was facing.
Wait a minute. So,
but let me tell you what happened. I couldn't go to any public school in the state, and because I was going to try to get in UWM.
Yeah, you're like, let me just transfer then. Since I'm kicked out of this school, let me transfer.
Couldn't go to any public school. Couldn't transfer because of politics. So I ended up going to Marquette University, which was private Catholic school. Mm-hmm. They let me in 1 semester there. I got back into Whitewater,
which is where you got suspended from.
Right.
Okay.
UW Whitewater. So I got
Okay, I
that.
do have a question. Hold on.
Mhm.
So when you got suspended along with the 16 other guys, so that means like we're talking black and white guys got suspended, right? It wasn't just a whole bunch of black dudes that got
No,
kicked out.
all black people, all black guys.
Damn. Any of the white boys got kicked out?
No, no.
Y'all hear this? Hey, listen, audience, and most of my audience is white here. Y'all
Oh
see how
yeah.
this shit happens, right? Y'all see, like we don't just make these things up. And yeah, I want y'all to just listen. Like I'm for a lot of you guys, Naja is your only black friend. And so y'all think I'm one of the good ones, but listen, this is how things happen. 16
But
black boys got
Naja,
kicked out.
but this was perfect because it
Mhm.
led me into self-development. I
Yes.
didn't want to become bitter. By the way, I got back into Whitewater and took a summer session and still graduated in 4.5 years. I
Mm.
had 1 year of eligibility for playing football and I chose not to. I took the
Yeah.
teaching job instead, right?
So you're like, you know what? I think I think I'm done with that. You're like, I can hang it up. Well,
Well, I went
until the Milwaukee Bucks. Wait, who was that called you?
to Green Bay
The
Packers.
the Green oh
So,
the
so I
Green
went
Bay
on.
Packers.
So I went on and graduated, took the job teaching. While I was teaching, Elijah Pitt's wife was teaching in the same school and in the same building with me.
Now I
So
don't know Elijah Pitts.
Elijah Pitts, see, you so young. He's a legendary, Hall of Fame football player who played
Okay.
years ago, and
Okay.
then he
Okay.
became a scout for the Green Bay Packers. So
Nice.
his wife was teaching in the same building with me, right?
Hmm.
So they came to the game, and then that's how I got discovered by the Green Bay Packers.
Love how, because see, I just tried to take it down like a socio-political racial thing. And I
Yeah,
love how you took what I was just trying to do and turned it around and was like, wait a minute, Naja, I didn't become bitter from that. I like how you did that. Just, that's that mediation stuff working. You work some of that mediation juju on me. I like how you did that though. I just wanted to note that. So Elijah Pitts noticed you and
right. And so I didn't accept the offer to try out, and I went to law school instead. And then when I got to law school, I decided I don't really like this either, but I went on and completed, right? And then ultimately I found my niche as a mediator, right? But along the way, I'm still dealing with this traumatic experience. I didn't realize it was affecting me so much until 53 years later. I'm writing a memoir about this, by the way.
Mm.
And I know you don't want to interview me about all of this stuff because
I want to know about everything. I'm so curious about you. No, listen, I'm so curious about everything that you do. And I'm such a fan of everything you do. Whatever you want to share, I feel like it's going to be advantageous for not only me, but for the entire listening audience. So
well, you're brilliant. You're just beautiful.
thank you
and
so
brilliant.
much.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for allowing me to share this, because last week, while I'm writing this memoir, and I decided to write an open letter and put the open letter to the football team, because we were conference champions for 3 years. Then we were like nationally ranked. I'm the only black guy, but I had this one guy on the team who I could relate to really well, Greg Jones. He was 2-time All-American,
Wow.
Division III. And I hadn't talked to Jonesy in like 50 years, over 50 years. And I decided that, when I was writing this open letter, I became overwhelmed with emotion. And I realized that I was traumatized and didn't realize I was traumatized. But now, I'm creating this, Conflict Matters for Families. That's how I got in touch with you. I'm learning more and more about trauma in the body and how it manifests. And all of a sudden, boom, it hit me.
Hit you like a ton of bricks.
So I said, what did I do about this? So I found Greg Jones's email, because he had emailed me about 5 years ago for a reunion. We had a reunion of all the undefeated teams. And
you've just done so much in your life. Like, God dang. Wow.
And guess what? He said, he lived in the frat house that got invaded. Right?
He knew you got kicked out for that BS and knew you had nothing to do with it.
Well, I wasn't sure what he knew.
Oh,
so
okay.
when I contacted him, the he said, sure, he'd like to meet. And then the next morning he emailed me and said he could hardly sleep because he was he was re-experiencing the melee that happened.
So he's
Right?
traumatized too?
He's traumatized too. And see, I was
Wait a
focusing on
minute. So
myself.
you're like this white frat dude who still got to stay in school, who's all American. He's traumatized too with Black Charles, who got his butt kicked out and had his education derailed. So wait a minute.
Yeah.
Both of these dudes are traumatized?
Well, see, Jonesy, he got drafted by the Denver Broncos, right?
Yeah.
And he didn't last too long with the Denver Broncos, so he ended up playing against me in the Central States Football League, right?
Oh, cool.
So he was playing for the Delavan Red Devils. Delavan Red Devils.
You don't have to tell me. You don't have to remember.
And I was playing for the West South
team.
But anyway, so
I only know the NFL teams because I don't know the other ones.
This wasn't the NFL, but we would see each other, and for a couple of years we'd handshake after the end of the game, but we really never got a chance to talk about the incident that happened on December 16th, 1969. And
wow.
And so he said he wanted to meet, and so we met last week, Tuesday, in Cedarburg, Wisconsin, and we met for lunch. Nobody touched the food, right? We just talk for 3 hours straight. Now his wife wants to meet me, so we're gonna hook up again for pizza next week, right? Whoa. But he was able to share with me that the fight that happened at the gym wasn't even the Phi Chi Epsilon fraternity. It was another group, but somebody thought it was the Phi Chi's. And so the brothers got together. They had a meeting at the Black Student Union and decided to go down and confront the Phi Chi's.
Destroy that house. And that wasn't even them.
Because there were two sisters involved. There were two women involved in the melee at the gym. And so that's why the retaliation was so profound.
Does your partner share kids with a loony? Are your stepkids driving you up a wall? Is your partner failing miserably at setting boundaries? Well, VIP Stepmom is where you need to be. We're an exclusive private community just for stepmoms, and we'd love for you to join our tribe. Each month, our members enjoy private conversations, podcasts, expert workshops, a subscription to Stepmom Magazine, and monthly live Zoom meetings. If you're ready to join a diverse community that is committed to making sure you live your best life, visit VIP Stepmom today. We'll save a seat for you.
VIP Stepmoms, that's you and me.
Yeah, they're like, hold on, women were hurt in this,
right. But then in talking to Jonesy was telling me the other part of the story was that was not the Phi Chi Epsilon team that this Black freshman group was playing against. It was an independent team.
Whoa.
So
it wasn't even them.
It wasn't even them.
They got the smoke and they didn't even do anything.
They didn't even do anything. Right. So I'm still, I'm going to complete.
You're still unpacking all of this stuff.
I'm going to write the open letter, and I'm going to include what I just shared with you in the open letter as well. Because the open letter.
53 years later.
Yeah. See, my life purpose, I got in touch with my life purpose, which is peace, healing, and collaboration. And so I took my legal training and all of the things I've done in life. And when I look back, I see that from 2.5 years old, that's who I've been. Like I recognize myself as a peacemaker, as someone who intervenes, someone who.
I have to ask, what is your astrological sign? Like, not that I believe in that stuff.
I'm a Libra.
See, you Libra. That's a scale. My mom is a Libra, so you're about balance. You're about achieving synergy and balance. Okay, yes. I see. That's a great career for you. Not that I believe in that stuff.
And I was born on a Monday, so if you go with the Afrocentric,
what does that mean? I don't know. When I went to Ghana for my birthday last summer, I was born on Wednesday, so they named me Aquia, and Tony.
I'm Kojo.
You Kojo? Okay, wait. So Tony is Kwame, and I'm Aquia. Yes. So Kojo is born on what day?
Monday.
Oh, okay. Monday, your culture. Okay, cool. That's awesome. So, I just want to go back real quick
Okay.
because you said 53 years ago, you were reliving this incident that literally seemingly derailed where you wanted your life to go. And obviously, you landed in the right place. You landed on your feet, but you're like, oh my God, I'm traumatized. So, I don't think we know how to recognize that we straight up are walking around here with PTSD.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something about the nervous system, and I know that you've
Mm.
done quite a bit of work on that. Break down what that means, because I see people talking about that on the internet all the time, like, oh, your nervous system is disrupted. What does that mean, Charlie Rob?
Well, after doing the work that I've been doing with Landmark, they have a course. It's called the Advanced Course.
Mm-hmm.
And in the Advanced Course, you actually go all the way back to find kind of like your winning formula. Like usually between the ages of 3 and 5, something would have happened that kind of shaped who you are, right, for the rest of your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I got in touch with that, and so then I recreated myself as being peace, healing, and collaboration, right? And so it was out of that I began to see, well, now I'm semi-retired. I was teaching. I forgot to tell you, I was an adjunct professor as well.
Now that I did read that in your bio.
Right.
That
So
you were
I was
adjunct
for 14 years at Springfield College, the Milwaukee campus. And I decided that, when the campus it closed down actually because of COVID-19. And I
Okay.
said, well, since I've been teaching for Springfield for 14, I should be able to teach for myself. What course
Heck yeah.
would I launch for myself, right? Something, well, of course, it would be in line with who I created myself to be.
Yes.
Peace,
Yes.
healing, and collaboration, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at, well, where can I have the most impact? And I thought, well, since we have a problem with people living together, sustaining relationships and parenting their children, like in the state of Wisconsin, in the teenage category, only 7% of teenagers live with their biological parents. 7%.
What?
7%
In the entire state?
in the state for black families.
Okay.
All right. So when I discovered you, Blended in Black,
Yeah.
I'm looking at, well, man, I can learn a lot just by listening to her comments and the people, because they're talking about their conflict, their trauma, their experience,
Woo.
trying to maintain and sustain relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And, I thought, well, if I could have a major impact there,
Yes.
my life would be fulfilled. So I said, well,
I'm going to make this my mission.
Right, because I was a psych major and worked on a master's degree for school psychology. I discovered what school psychologists were doing. I didn't want to do that, right?
Right.
And I got the law degree, and then I did all the work that I did with Landmark since 1986. We and I'm an instructional leader right now. I'm a program leader with Landmark right now. So what we do is we have a methodology for having people transform their relationships in life.
Okay.
Right. And so I'm bringing that technology as well to this course that I'm creating.
Is this a course that I can take right now? Because I'm interested.
Wow,
I want to take it like today. Is it ready?
Well, see, thank you. That really helped my confidence. I haven't launched it yet. And I'm working on it for 2 years. I told you I was working with that. Danielle Leslie has this program. Like,
Mr. Charles, hold on. I'm sorry, I called you Mr. Charles. Charlie Rob, when you first reached out to me, is this the course that you were talking about when you first reached out to me? Hold on, let me go back to my email and see when the first time that we emailed, because this has been more than 2 years. This is 2022. No, you need to be, sir. You should be embarrassed, because I don't feel like God, whatever you guys out there that are listening, call him, her, or they. I don't feel like God gives us these experiences and these visions to hold them to ourselves. Let me just look in my email real quick, because I'm about to embarrass you. Hold on, because this don't make no damn sense right here. This don't make no damn sense.
Well, my main problem was, who do I market it to? Do I market it to people who are struggling as co-parents,
Oh
or do I
my
focus on the
God.
faith-based community? Because I thought if I focus on the faith-based community, they will be natural partners in, the mission of peace, healing, and collaboration,
You
right?
need to just hold on because I just looked at my email. I have the first one that I see is October 12th, 2019 from Charles Robinson. What's this? 2019?
That's 3 years, almost 2 years.
So
Oh,
I'm sure it was before that we met before 2019. So I'm gonna say 3.5 years. When can I take the course? Because you're telling me about my nervous system, and I need to be able to go back to when these first things were introduced into my nervous system and how I can, from ages 3 to 5, and how I can go and reprogram myself. Clearly, this is something that the people need,
well,
me included.
over the last year, I've read about 17 books that relates to
And you ain't finished one course.
what we're talking about, right? Because
Okay.
I want to deal with peace. I have like working experience dealing with peacemaking, like as a
Mhm.
mediator, because I have like over 30 years of experience as a family court mediator. Did I
But
mention
it is hard to drill that down. I know it's so hard because you have all of this experience. It's very difficult to drill it down, which for people like me, when I think of a course, I literally say, okay, let me put this succinct amount of information in here. And if I think of something later, I will build another course. But I need to get this out to the people right now, like with a sense of urgency, which is why I've done all the work that I've done. Because, you know, like, yeah. You
Yeah,
know what? After this, me and you are gonna sit and talk though. Like after this, but I want to learn more. I want to learn more. Can we just go back to how, when you said you were traumatized, meaning you had PTSD, this means something in your nervous system was thrown off. How does a person go about recalibrating their nervous system when they finally can identify that they themselves have PTSD? What are we supposed to do about this?
well, what I've been investigating is the mindful practice. And
Yes.
so I actually been practicing for over a year right now with a group
Mhm.
of graduates of the forum, the landmark forum.
Mhm.
And so I discovered I was coaching some people, performance coaching, who were
Yeah.
actually being trained to be program leaders of landmark. And
Okay.
one of them actually is a facilitator for mindful practice, right? So I discovered the benefit of practicing mindfully. And
Mhm.
also I read this book called Altered Traits. You
Alter
may have written,
traits.
you may have written the book. I mean, read the book,
I don't think
uh,
I'm familiar with that book.
Emotional Intelligence. Goldman, Emotional Intelligence. Have you read that?
Probably, or I probably bought it and just
Yeah.
never read it.
Well, anyway,
Because I
go. He co-authored with a guy named Dr. Richard Davison from the University of Wisconsin a book
Mhm.
called Altered Traits. They studied the brains of monks who have been meditating deeply for
Ooh.
years,
So
right?
these are some peaceful, balanced dudes.
And so their brains altered, their brains reformed because of the meditation practice. So meditating can actually change your brain
Oh my
and your
God.
mind.
So the art of practicing mindfulness retrains our brain. So when we think of this trauma that all of us humans have inevitably endured, no matter if you're black, white, yellow, brown, like whatever, um, we can do things to retrain our brains. So what does it look like then? Like, do you practice this every day?
Every
Because I
day,
know about mindfulness. So
you could
tell me what
join
it
us.
looks like.
You could
I
join
want
us.
to join.
And
I
it's free.
want
You can join us. I'll send you the link.
Oh,
It's
you
from
had me at
8:30
free. What time? I'm there.
from 8:30 a.m. This is Central Standard Time
You
to
come. That's
9.
fine.
We practice, and then there's like 10 minutes after we practice, and people share, if you choose to share,
Yeah.
whatever your experience might have been.
So then for those of us that, obviously everybody listening, they can't come tomorrow. So what does it look like when you all, because I want everybody to be able to close their eyes, or if they're driving, listen to this, if they're on the treadmill, I want them to be able to do it themselves tonight. So can you give us a real, with respect to what it is, can you tell us what it is, how to do it?
Yeah, well, you're sitting in a comfortable position,
Mhm.
and it's basically breathing, right? It's all about deep breathing. I have an app on my telephone. It's called
Mhm. Is it the Breathe app?
Well, no, it's a mindful app. You could do it with music, without music. You can time yourself for 5 minutes or 10 minutes or half an hour. You can do it by yourself, or you could do it with someone leading. Now,
Okay.
when you have someone who's leading, like a facilitator, they will like make sure that you come back, because when you're practicing mindfulness, you have a tendency to go off. You can actually go off in a trance, go off, because all of these thoughts, like it's almost like a cinema, like all of these scenes going across your mental screen. But we don't notice it when we're actively involved in life on a day-to-day basis, right? But when you sit down and you breathe, you consciously, you focus on the breath, and you be in touch with all of these things, these thoughts, but they occur like a scene, like a movie scene, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I want to share with you, to talk to you about the listening from within, because it was through practicing mindfulness
Yeah.
that I actually got more in touch with that internal dialogue. And see, when people can do that, when you practice on a day-to-day basis, you actually, the part of your brain that gets reformed is the part that deals with compassion, empathy, love, things like that.
Whoa.
And so that allows you to create space. And see, this is why I think this is a breakthrough, because now that we know more and more about trauma, that trauma is handed down epigenetically, according to Resmaa Menakem. Have you read the book?
Hell yeah. I read that. Anything on epigenetics.
Okay.
Oh my God, that book. Oh, so y'all, those of you that are just listening, there's a book that I had to put it down. I had to put that book down a couple times because I was like, shit. It's called My Grandmother's Hands. He just hold it up real quick. Charlie, it's called, I can't. Okay. It's called My Grandmother's Hands. And it's such a powerful read for you, for me, for anybody. You're probably going to have to put it down a couple times, because it's going to hit you right here.
You have to read it slowly. But you got to read it slowly. If you read My Grandmother's Hands, you have to read The Body Keeps the Score.
Okay. And I'm pretty sure I've seen that.
The Body Keeps the Score is a deeper dive, and you have to read it slowly. Like,
God, I got so much work to do.
Well, it's scientifically
I'm so screwed up.
It scientifically documents the body, brain, and mind connection, the body, brain, and mind connection. And it's scientifically documented how what we experience is in our bodies. Like, you ever get triggered and not really know why you were triggered?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's because it all happens not just in the brain, but it happens in the body as well. According to Resmaa in his book, My Grandmother's Hands, right? He talks about white trauma, black trauma, and then blue trauma, which is trauma that police officers have when they're interviewed after they've shot like an unarmed person, and they don't understand why.
Oh, God.
It was because of the trauma in their bodies, which has been handed down up until, according to Resmaa, 14 generations it could be handed down.
14 generations. So before we even take our first breath, we are already put here with the trauma. Epigenetics, genetically, trauma is ingrained in our DNA. And so we don't know why we react to this thing. We don't know why some of us are deathly afraid to go swimming, or why we won't go near large bodies of water, or why we stay away from certain foods. So practicing.
In my city, there are 2 or 3 homicides every night in the Black community. And that's just one city.
Yeah.
And if you multiply that out, like, people are dying every night because they got triggered, and then their amygdala hijacked their frontal lobe, their executive part of their brain, right? It was actually commandeered, it was hijacked by the amygdala, that caused them to do or say something that they're sorry for later. Like road rage is a good example of that.
And they are paying for it. Some of them with life sentences, or their own lives have been taken because of a moment.
And all the
that
people
amygdala.
they're connected with, their families, their loved ones, they're traumatized as well.
They're victims. They're society as a whole.
And society as a whole. Exactly.
So
Yeah.
then if we're talking mindfulness and the practice of coming back center, I know for a minute, me and Tony were doing this Deepak Chopra. He had like a 7-day free meditation. And so every day we would wake up and he would ding the bell and then he would use his very soft, let's take your mind into a place of, like he would use the voice. And so, when you were saying that cinematic thing, because, like you said, when you're awake and you're going through your day, I've caught myself many times just ruminating on some dumb stuff and being like, Naja, come back to reality.
Come back.
But, like you said, when you're practicing mindfulness, you're sitting there meditating. It literally plays out like a cinema, like a movie for you. Is that a healthy thing to happen, though, when you're meditating?
When you do it and you're breathing and you're focusing on the breath, what happens is by practicing on a day-to-day basis, you actually develop the ability to pause between you act. Like something may trigger you during the course of your day, but because you've been practicing mindfully, you'll have the ability to pause before you act.
You say, you know what? I'm not going to beat her ass right now. I'm gonna breathe. And you know what? Neither one of us will face charges or have fines. I'm just gonna walk away. My amygdala, I'm in control of my amygdala. I am peaceful, I am balanced, and I can walk away because it's not worth it.
So that's that internal dialogue. What you just did was you just generated your own experience in life.
Yeah, I have to do that every day,
as
Mr. Charlie Rob.
Just think if human beings could generate their own experience in life by overriding the internal dialogue that's already always. See, we think our thoughts, we think we're controlling thinking.
Yeah.
But we're really like we're on a school bus, like we're on a ride. We're on a thought-having ride, but we call it thinking. So one of the things that we do in Landmark is we have people distinguish thinking from listening.
Okay.
So listening.
So it's like, am I really in control? So a lot of us actually think that we're in control and we think these are original thoughts, but really these are things that were already predetermined for us. And really we're just reacting. Is that what you're saying?
Well, we're listening. And we may act out of that internal dialogue. That internal dialogue informs us from moment to moment how life is occurring for us. And there's a book that you got to read. It's called The 3 Laws of Performance. And law
You're giving me so many books. Hold on. And as you're saying this, would you believe? Look, I'm adding these books to my Amazon cart right now. As you're telling me them, look, here's, you see my phone? I'm adding them to my Amazon. So the 3 laws of performance. Okay,
right. Law 1 is, guess what?
What?
People's actions are directly correlated to how things occur. I know it sounds super simple, but your actions are directly correlated to how things occur.
Okay.
It makes sense though, right?
My actions are directly so that means I'm reacting, because how things occur, that means there's happenings, and then my actions are directly correlated. So that means I'm reacting. I don't want to just react though.
But listen, how things occur is in language. So the languaging process tells you how things occur. And then that's law 2. And law 3 is future-based language can transform how things occur.
Future-based language can.
Like when you just said you could beat her ass later. Okay. Okay. So you look at that. Well, I'm not going to act right now.
Right.
I'm going to be rational about the situation.
Yes.
And I'm going to create something different for the future. Right. So like, you didn't realize that you were actually overriding the already always listening that we call it thinking. But see, if I ask you to stop thinking, you couldn't stop thinking, right?
Yeah, it's difficult to do that.
Okay.
I don't think I could do that.
You'll be thinking about that. Right.
Yeah, I'll be thinking about not thinking.
Right. Exactly. So human beings do very little real thinking. Like when we're really thinking, that's what we're probably engaged in critical thinking,
Right.
which is distinguished from the thought having process, where there's an already always listening
Mm-hmm.
that we bring to every moment of life. So like when I showed up in your podcast,
Mm-hmm.
so there was already always listening that affected how I'm being with you in the podcast,
Okay.
right? And so when you showed up, there was already always listening for you too.
Mm-hmm.
So given whatever situation you're in, you're going to bring this already always listening, which is based on your past experiences.
Yes. What if I want to be different though? What if what if something has happened and I recognize like you can't be bringing your already always. You need to transition and transform this.
Well, number
into
one,
something.
you have to notice that there is an internal dialogue that you don't control.
Yeah.
It,
Oh yeah.
it never stops. It's
Mhm.
it is always talking, and
Mhm.
you are always listening. You're basically speaking to yourself and listening to yourself speak to yourself, right? And it never stops,
Okay.
and it
Okay.
informs you what's happening from moment to moment. However, it's hooked up to the past. So that's why the more things change, the more they stay the same, because
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
we try to solve problems, not fully being present, because we're stuck in the past trying to solve problems for the future. So what we get an extended past for a future. So we're running from the past into the past.
Okay, see, this
But we
is
don't know that.
you're going too fast for me.
We're running from the past into the past, but we don't know that we're doing
So
that.
we're like on a hamster wheel.
Yeah, but when you notice that you are,
Get out, because I don't want to be on a hamster wheel. I don't like that.
It gives you the ability to pause and do something different.
What was the other book? I know we talked about My Grandmother's Hands and in the 3 Laws of Performance. There was another book that you mentioned, and I didn't write that down.
The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh, yes. Okay. Guys, I'm literally adding all this. I'm going to post it in my stories when these books come.
And then altered traits, if you're,
now, hold on. This is 4 books you got me reading. Please, hold on. No, hold on now.
Altered traits, altered traits is kind of scientific because it's based on, study. But if you're interested in how that mind, body, brain works. Now, I didn't tell you about the vagus nerve.
Tell me about that.
The vagus nerve is attached like at the base of the brain.
VEGUS?
Vagus, VAGUS.
Okay.
Right. And it goes out and it attaches to the major organs. So like, have you ever had a bad thought and you feel bad?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, well, that's because of the vagus nerve. And when that happens chronically, you could actually make yourself sick by thinking bad thoughts.
Ooh, you can make yourself sick by thinking bad thoughts.
Yeah.
Chronically, you can give yourself a chronic illness, and that probably manifests with something called stress for a lot of us.
Exactly. I'm going to send you my PowerPoint. I have a PowerPoint. I did a PowerPoint in 2019. I wasn't completely inactive. I did a workshop for 3 communities here in Milwaukee, and it was dealing with violence prevention and trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And I include, in that presentation, there were 50 people on a Zoom call, and I can send you that PowerPoint.
Is this something that, because I feel like we touched a little bit on so many deep topics. Like when I go back to listen to this podcast, I'm going to be like, oh my God, we should have dived more into the PTSD part or the epigenetics part, or, so is this PowerPoint is something that I could share with my audience? Because they love this stuff too.
Oh yeah.
Can I share it with them? Oh, okay. So I'm gonna link it down below, you all, so that we can all learn, because this is a lot. Yeah, you're such a wealth of information.
I really want access to your community. I want to be able to help them deal
So
with
how about I
trauma.
will give you, like, what did I tell you from day one? When I see, number one, I know that you've been consistent. And when I see that someone is being consistent and I have built the audience that I have,
Mm.
my key job for building this audience is so that I can be the change in people's lives. But Naja doesn't know everything. But I'm so privileged to meet people like you that are willing to come in. So I would say this, I can speak for my audience. We would all, because I'm going to be joining the class too. I would happily give you the floor and be like, listen, y'all, Charlie Rob is coming in and he's going to teach us about these things. And we'll all come and bring our pens and pads and
See, I
be
had to
students.
deal with the single parent thing and the co-parent thing. I had to
Yes.
deal with that myself. And I
Yes.
wish you could see my Facebook. My daughter, she put
Yeah.
up things, because she went, I was a single parent with her, and she's always acknowledging me. She's a
I
fitness.
remember me and you talked about that when we
Right.
first spoke on the phone, because you
Right.
yourself have dealt with co-parenting and all of the things that a lot of us are still going through right now.
And blended family too, because I was a
And blended.
stepdad. I was a stepdad.
So you're gonna have to come back and we're gonna have to talk about like your real life. I'm so glad we got the overview today, but I feel like you're gonna have to come back and tell us like about the the real life side of it, because we are actually out of time right now. I'm so sorry, guys. Guys, I normally do these podcasts. Y'all know it's like 40 minutes, but it was just so much. When you have somebody on like this, I mean, I hope you guys kept up. And I'm going to literally link everything that he mentioned below. And I'm going to go ahead and link the books too, because I'm about to buy these books. I just put them in my Amazon cart. So, Mr. Charles Robinson, tell everybody real quick exactly how they can find you. And guys, I will be posting the link below. But tell everybody how they can find you and connect with you.
You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Charles L. Robinson, JD. Also, Facebook, Charles L. Robinson Sr. And I have a website, www.fatherhood-presence.com. And I have a private group, hashtag Fatherhood Presence.
Fatherhood Presence. And all of these will be linked below. Oh my goodness, you all. It's been a pleasure. And I'm speaking on you all's behalf because y'all know I be talking for you guys all the time. But it's been such a pleasure to have you here today. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge. We will all be listening. And I'm going to say this. It's not going to be the last time that you are going to be joining Naja Hall and the I Know I'm Crazy with Naja Hall audience, because you're coming back to teach us. I'm just going to hand you the microphone one day. I'm going to say, just go off. So everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you got some beautiful nuggets out of this. I know I did. I will see you guys Tuesday after next, everywhere your favorite podcasts are streamed. Thank you so much for listening to I Know I'm Crazy with Naja Hall.
I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. With Naja Hall.